Voiceover. Survival. It's not just about strength, it's about wit. It's about resourcefulness and resilience. It's about surviving against the odds when everything seems to be against you. But the most crucial element in this struggle, it's water. The element that breathes life into every cell of our bodies, the one thing that we cannot survive without. As we journey into the wild, uncharted territories of survival, remember this. Water isn't just a resource, it's your lifeline. Today we're going to explore the importance of water in survival and how to harness its life-giving properties even in the most desperate of situations. Are you ready to dive in? Why is water so indispensable in survival scenarios? It's a sobering reality that the human body can only survive for approximately 3 days without it. Water, accounting for nearly 60% of our body weight, isn't merely a thirst quencher. It's a vital component required for our body's essential functions, including digestion, absorption, circulation, creation of saliva, transportation of nutrients, and maintenance of body temperature. Water helps to lubricate our joints, it forms the base for our body's saliva production, and it aids in flushing out the waste materials from our organs. It acts as a shock absorber for our brain and spinal cord, thus ensuring their safety. The lack of sufficient water, leading to dehydration, can have severe consequences. Initial symptoms of dehydration include fatigue, loss of appetite, heat intolerance, dizziness, and dark-colored urine. If not addressed promptly, it can escalate to severe conditions such as rapid heart rate, fever, unconsciousness, and in extreme cases can be fatal. Without access to clean, drinkable water, life can turn extraordinarily challenging, if not downright impossible. So how do we secure this vital resource in survival situations? Today we will dive deep into the techniques of locating, generating, and purifying water in dire scenarios, ensuring you're prepared for any eventuality. Our expedition commences with the essential task of finding water. Water, the elixir of life, is omnipresent in various forms. It can be found in the flowing streams and gushing rivers, or it can descend from the skies as rainfall and even be seen as morning dew. When faced with a survival situation, keep in mind that nature is your ally. Examine the landscape carefully. Seek out areas where water naturally gathers. Valleys and troughs in ground often serve as nature's own reservoirs. If there's a towering mountain or a rolling hill in proximity, follow its base. The probability of discovering a stream or a natural spring significantly escalates in these regions. However, there may be scenarios where you find yourself in a barren wasteland devoid of obvious water sources. But despair not, for nature has its own ways of providing. One such unexpected source is the morning dew. This dew be a potential lifesaver. Find a piece of cloth or a sponge and gently wipe it over the dew-laden grass and plants to soak up the moisture, then wring it out into a container. This technique is slow and requires patience, but in desperate times, it could be the difference between life and death. But our options don't just end with dew. In fact, trees can be a source of water too. An unusual method of acquiring in the wild is through a process called tree transpiration. Tie a plastic bag around a leafy branch and let it sit in the sun. As the day progresses, you'll find moisture collecting in the bag, a result of the tree releasing water into the atmosphere. This method, though unconventional, can yield a surprising amount of drinkable water. And then there are riverbeds. A dried-up riverbed might seem disappointing at first, but it can hold hidden treasures. Armed with a shovel or even your hands, you can dig into the sandy or rocky bed. It may take time and effort, but often you'll find water slowly seeping into the pit you've created. Finally, let's not forget the skies. Collecting rainwater is one of the simplest and most effective methods of finding water in the wild. All you need is a wide-mouthed container to collect and store the rainwater. Be it a sudden downpour or a light drizzle, collecting rainwater can provide a substantial amount of water, ensuring your survival in harsh conditions. So never lose hope. Even in the direst of circumstances, water is there. You just need to know where to look. Let's delve into the creation of water using a solar still. This ingenious method employs the principles of evaporation and condensation to extract moisture from the soil, transforming it into drinkable water. The process begins by digging a hole in the ground. The depth and breadth of the hole can vary depending on your water needs, but a general rule of thumb is to make it about 2 feet deep and 3 feet across. Once the hole is dug, place a clean container in the center. This will collect the distilled water. Now, cover the hole with a clear plastic sheet, ensuring it's taut and extends past the hole's boundary. This is to prevent any external contaminant from falling into the hole. After this, place a small rock in the center of the sheet, directly over the container. This creates an inverted cone shape, with the rock as the apex and the container at the bottom. As the sun begins to shine, its heat penetrates the clear plastic sheet and starts to warm the soil within the hole. The soil absorbs this heat and evaporates, rising towards the cooler surface of the plastic sheet above. Upon making contact with the cooler surface, the water vapor condenses into droplets. Due to the cone shape created by the rock, these droplets will then roll down the underside of the sheet and drip into the container. Remember, patience is key here. It may take several hours before you start to see a significant amount of water collected in the container, and there you have it. Using a solar still to create water, a simple marriage of science and survival. In this segment, we'll dive into the construction of a simple, yet effective, water purification system. This DIY method is quite versatile, as it can be assembled using readily available materials. Let's get started. Firstly, gather the following materials: a clean container or bucket, cheesecloth or fine mesh fabric, activated carbon, also known as charcoal, sand, gravel or small stones, and an optional clean cloth or coffee filter. Prepare the container. Begin by thoroughly cleaning the container to eliminate any dirt or debris. The size of the container should be determined by the volume of water you wish to purify. Layer the filtering materials. Next, we'll layer our filtering materials within the container. Start with a bottom layer of clean gravel or small stones, which will act as the base for the filter. On top of the gravel, add a layer of sand to help trap larger particles and sediment. Finally, place a layer of activated carbon on top of the sand. The activated carbon will absorb impurities, odors, and some chemicals from the water. Filter the water. Now, we're ready to purify. Carefully pour the water into the container, allowing it to pass through the layered materials. Use the cheesecloth or fine mesh fabric to cover the top of the container, preventing larger particles from entering. Allow filtration. Let the water pass through the filtering materials and collect in a clean container placed below the purification system. As the water seeps through the layers, it becomes clearer and cleaner. Optional additional filtration. For an extra level of filtration, you can pour the filtered water through a clean cloth or coffee filter. This will remove any remaining fine particles or sediment. Test and store. After the water has been filtered, test it for clarity and odor. If the water appears clear and lacks unusual odors, it's likely safe to drink. Store the purified water in clean covered containers to prevent recontamination. Remember, while this method is efficient in removing many contaminants, it may not eliminate all types of bacteria and viruses, so it's always recommended to boil the water post-filtration for complete safety. Securing your water source is merely the initial step. Gaining an in-depth understanding of potential contaminants and pH levels in the water is equally critical. Different water sources can harbor varied contaminants and present different pH levels, necessitating a crucial need for subsequent purification. This knowledge is a powerful weapon in the fight against waterborne diseases, which can result in complications like gastrointestinal issues, chemical poisoning, and parasitic infections. For perspective, consider diseases such as cholera, typhoid fever, hepatitis A, and giardiasis. Each of these diseases presents unique symptoms that can have severe impacts on the human body. Prolonged exposure to contaminated water or water with improper pH levels not only leads to these diseases, but can also trigger significant disruptions to the nervous system, kidneys, and bones. Selective effectiveness, including pH considerations, is another crucial factor in water purification. Different purification methods target specific types of contaminants and work optimally at certain pH levels. For example, while boiling effectively eliminates bacteria and viruses, it does not rid the water of chemical contaminants. An essential addition example, while boiling effectively eliminates bacteria and viruses, it does not rid the water of chemical contaminants. An essential addition to this is the concept of emergency disinfection procedures. In emergency situations where access to disinfection methods may be necessary to ensure water safety. Knowledge of emergency disinfection procedures, such as using household bleach or iodine tincture, options are unavailable. In disaster or emergency situations affecting entire communities, implementing large-scale water treatment measures may be necessary to provide safe drinking water to affected populations. Community-level water treatment solutions, such as mobile water purification units or point-of-use filtration systems, diseases, and save lives. Purification methods work best in water with a neutral pH. Around such as using chlorine tablets or bleach also depend on pH levels for maximum effectiveness. These methods rely on concentration, which can be influenced by the pH level to ensure water disinfection. It's crucial to understand how to test for residual chlorine level strips and to be aware of the pH level of the water to ensure that the water has been adequately treated. If chlorine levels are found to be insufficient, it may indicate ineffective treatment at the given pH level, thereby increasing the risk of waterborne illnesses. Choosing the most appropriate purification technique for your water becomes vital with these considerations. There are numerous options, from traditional methods like solar energy or moringa seed powder, to more modern techniques like the RO system. However, each method may perform differently based on the pH level of the water and the specific contaminants of the water and the specific contaminants present. Activated carbon filters are another option, exceptionally good at removing various contaminants, but ineffective against inorganic pollutants like heavy metals, fluoride, or dissolved minerals. Other techniques like solar disinfection, SODIS, and pottery filtration each come with their distinct strengths, limitations, and pH considerations. For instance, SODIS uses sunlight to disinfect water, but its effectiveness fluctuates with temperature, weather conditions, and the pH of the water. Understanding selective effectiveness, the source of your water, the potential contaminants it may contain, stage in assuring the purity of your water. This step is indispensable. Monitoring for recontamination is another key aspect. Once water has been purified, recontamination during storage and distribution. Use clean, sanitized containers with tight-fitting lids to store treated water and avoid cross-contamination with untreated water sources. Regularly inspect stored water for signs of recontamination, such as cloudiness. In conclusion, keep in mind the significance of water for survival. In dire circumstances, you can source water by surveying your surroundings, collecting dew, or generating it with a solar still. Cleanse it by heating it, employing purification tablets, or filtering it, but that filtering merely removes solid pollutants and does not eradicate pathogens. Survival is not about confronting the wilderness armed only with your intellect. It's about readiness and the effective utilization of the resources at your disposal. With the knowledge of how to locate, generate, and purify water, you are progressing towards being prepared for whatever comes your way. Therefore, stay vigilant, maintain your hydration, and always be prepared.